What if a single threat, delivered thousands of miles away, could trigger a chain reaction capable of redrawing the balance of power across the Middle East? What if that warning wasn't aimed at an army, a base, or even a government, but at one man whose survival is tied to the identity of an entire nation? In the last few hours, intelligence analysts, military planners, and diplomats have all been asking the same question. Did Iran just cross a line that can't be uncrossed? And if so, is the world ready for what comes next? Because when pressure reaches a certain point, history shows that restraint often collapses into action, and tonight, every signal suggests we may be closer to that moment than at any time in recent years. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's situation is unfolding fast, and the implications are enormous. After a public and unusually direct threat issued by former US President Donald Trump against Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Tehran has taken what many defense analysts are calling a major and deliberate step, one that appears calculated not only to respond, but to warn, deter, and reshape the strategic equation. This isn't just rhetoric. This isn't symbolic outrage. This is action layered with meaning, timing, and consequence. And every move appears designed to send a message far beyond Washington. Here's what makes this moment so dangerous and so compelling. Iran rarely reacts impulsively on the global stage. Its leadership favors patience, strategic ambiguity, and long-game thinking. So when Tehran acts quickly, it's never random. It's measured, rehearsed, and usually tied to contingency plans that have been waiting for the right trigger. Trump's threat against Khamenei was not just personal. It struck at the core of Iran's political and religious system. In Iran's worldview, threatening the supreme leader is equivalent to threatening the state itself. That changes everything, and Iran's response reflects that gravity. Behind the scenes, intelligence chatter began to spike almost immediately. Satellite imagery analysts noticed unusual movements. Communications traffic shifted. Military units that typically stay quiet began transmitting at higher volumes. These are not coincidences. These are indicators. And when analysts see multiple indicators converge at once, alarms start going off in secure rooms across the world. The question isn't whether Iran heard the threat. The question is how far Iran is willing to go to ensure it never happens again. Iran's first move was subtle but unmistakable. High readiness alerts were reportedly elevated across key branches of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This alone sends a message, but it was only the opening act. Shortly afterward, Iran announced military exercises that, on the surface, appeared routine. But dig deeper, and the details tell a different story. The locations chosen, the weapon systems showcased, and the timing all point to a calculated demonstration of capability. This wasn't about training, this was about signaling. Here's the part that keeps defense experts awake at night. Iran's strategic doctrine is built around asymmetric escalation. Tehran knows it cannot win a conventional war against the United States, but it doesn't need to. Its strength lies in layered deterrence. Missiles, drones, cyber warfare, proxy forces, and regional leverage. When Iran takes a major step, it rarely means a single action. It means activating multiple pressure points simultaneously, creating a situation where any response becomes costly, complex, and politically risky.
Reports indicate Iran has reinforced key missile units, particularly those capable of long-range precision strikes. These are not weapons meant for battlefield skirmishes. These are strategic assets designed to hold adversaries at risk, from military bases to critical infrastructure. The message is clear: escalation will not be contained to one front. And just as important, Iran wants that message to be seen, analyzed, and understood. But there's another layer here, one that often gets overlooked. Iran's leadership is deeply aware of internal perception. When a foreign leader threatens the supreme leader, Tehran must respond not only to deter external enemies, but to maintain domestic legitimacy. Failing to act would signal weakness. Acting decisively reinforces unity. This is where military strategy and political survival intersect, and that intersection is one of the most dangerous places in global affairs. As these developments unfold, secondary indicators are emerging. Allied militias across the region have reportedly increased readiness. Maritime activity in key waterways is being watched more closely than usual. Cybersecurity firms have noted heightened probing activity linked to Iranian actors. None of these actions alone would trigger panic, but together they form a pattern that suggests coordinated preparation. It's the kind of pattern that precedes major geopolitical shifts. Now ask yourself this: if Iran believes its highest authority is under threat, what options are off the table? The answer, according to many analysts, is very few. Iran has spent decades preparing for scenarios exactly like this. Its command structures are decentralized to ensure continuity. Its response plans are layered to allow escalation or de-escalation as needed. This flexibility makes Iran both resilient and unpredictable, a combination that complicates any adversary's calculations. The United States, meanwhile, finds itself in a familiar but uncomfortable position. Any sign of weakness could embolden Tehran. Any show of force could trigger the very escalation Washington wants to avoid. This delicate balance is further complicated by politics, alliances, and the ever-present risk of miscalculation. History is filled with examples of conflicts that began not with intention, but with misunderstanding. What's particularly striking about this moment is the speed at which narratives are forming. Media headlines move fast, but military planning moves faster. Decisions are being made quietly, away from cameras, in rooms where every word is weighed. When Iran takes a step like this, it's not aimed at the public, it's aimed at those decision makers, those who understand exactly what's being implied. And here's where the suspense deepens. Iran's actions so far appear to be only phase one. Analysts believe additional moves may already be in motion, waiting for the right moment to surface. This could include further weapons demonstrations, diplomatic maneuvers, or actions through regional partners. Each option carries its own risks and rewards, and Tehran has historically shown a willingness to play multiple tracks at once. Consider the broader regional picture. Tensions are already high, conflicts overlap, alliances are strained. Into this environment, a direct threat against Iran's supreme leader acts like a spark in a dry forest. Even if no one intends to start a fire, the conditions are dangerously primed. One misstep, one misread signal, and the consequences could extend far beyond Iran and the United States. There's also the question of deterrence credibility. Trump's threat was designed to project strength, but deterrence only works if both sides believe escalation will be punished. Iran's response suggests it wants to restore balance by demonstrating that threats will not go unanswered. This back and forth is the essence of strategic rivalry, and it's why moments like this are so critical to watch. As intelligence agencies continue to assess the situation, one thing is becoming clear: this is not a temporary flare-up. This is part of a longer arc, one that reflects deeper shifts in global power, regional influence, and the role of leadership in an age of constant communication. When statements can travel the world in seconds, their consequences can follow just as quickly. Behind every public move is a private calculation. How far can Iran push without provoking direct conflict? How far can the United States pressure without triggering retaliation? These questions don't have simple answers, and the margin for error is thin. That's why every deployment, every announcement, and every silence is being scrutinized. And then there's the human element. Millions of lives hang in the balance of decisions made by a few. For people living in the region, these developments aren't abstract. They shape daily reality, economic stability, and personal safety. War is never just a strategic game. It's a human catastrophe waiting to happen, which is why moments like this demand attention, understanding, and vigilance. As the situation evolves, watch for the signals that matter most. Not the loudest statements, but the quiet shifts, changes in posture, movements that don't make headlines but change equations. Those are the real indicators of where this is heading. Iran's major step is not an endpoint. It's a message, and the response to that message will shape what comes next. So where does this leave us now? On the edge of uncertainty, with multiple paths forward and none without risk. Iran has shown it will not be intimidated. The United States has shown it will not back down easily. Between those positions lies a narrow corridor where diplomacy, deterrence, and restraint must coexist. Whether they can is the question that defines this moment. As viewers, as citizens, and as observers of history in real time, staying informed is not optional, it's essential, because the decisions unfolding now will echo for years, possibly decades. This is one of those moments people will look back on and ask when the course was set, when the signals were clear, and when the world held its breath. Stay alert, watch closely. And remember, in global defense and geopolitics, the most important developments are often the ones still unfolding, just beyond the headlines.